The first Deadpool 3 trailer is here, and we've got to break it down. But unlike all the other breakdowns you're probably going to see today, this video is actually going to take into account the leaks and the rumors and the set photos. And I promise you in this video, we'll be going over some stuff that you missed and some stuff that nobody's talking about. So spoiler warning, here we go. Now the trailer begins with Wade Wilson celebrating a birthday, and this is the Deadpool from the first two Deadpool movies. But you probably noticed that a lot of the people that are here in this shot died in the other film. And so what we are seeing here is Wade Wilson in a reality that he fixed. Because remember, he goes back in time using Cable's time machine, and he does a bunch of stuff to kind of set things right. And so it appears that that works, and Wade Wilson's now in a reality where he's happy. Now his friends ask him to give a speech. He says that it's been a rough couple of years, but he's the luckiest man alive and he's happy, and it is because of all of these people. Vanessa tells him to make a wish, and he blows out his candle, but then there's a knock at the door. And the knock at the door is from a bunch of TVA agents who have their pruning rods. Deadpool closes the door behind him. He makes a pegging joke. Then the TVA attacks him, takes him through one of their time portals back to the TVA headquarters. Wade Wilson wakes up and he encounters Matthew McFadden's character, who, according to the leaks and rumors, will be playing Agent Paradox. We see a TVA cup on the table, although this interrogation room does look different than the ones we see in the Loki show. Agent Paradox has a file laid out before him, and he has a mission for Deadpool. There's a joke made about Wade Wilson pooping his pants, and Wade promptly asks, "Who are you?" to Matthew McFadden. And he also, of course, wants to know why he's there. Agent Paradox snaps his fingers and tells Deadpool to walk with him. Then we see a shot of a door opening and Agent Paradox and Deadpool walking through that door into a hallway, and we see that this is the TVA. But again, it is noticeably different than the TVA we know from the Loki show, because there's still some confusion as to whether or not this TVA is the TVA after Loki season 2. We then cut to a shot of Wade Wilson in some kind of locker room wearing a name tag and looking at an open locker that holds the Deadpool shirt. And while we are seeing this shot, Agent Paradox is telling Wade that he is special. We then cut to an out of focus shot of Deadpool in the snow as he slowly walks into focus. Agent Paradox continues, "This is your chance to be a hero among heroes." We then cut to a shot of Agent Paradox gesturing towards a bunch of screens inside the TVA, and we watch as those screens pop up different moments in time from the Infinity Saga. We see the part where Iron Man is sliding to a halt in Age of Ultron. We see the famous shot of all of the Avengers going into action at the beginning of Age of Ultron. And then we see the part in Thor Ragnarok where Thor taps into his electricity / Odin power. We then get a cut and we see from behind Agent Paradox and Deadpool as the screens change to moments from Winter Soldier. We've got Steve Rogers fighting Batroc, Steve Rogers landing in a cool pose with his shield, and the moment when Steve Rogers stares down the Winter Soldier at the end of that movie. Deadpool salutes and we hear him say, "I smell what you're stepping in, Sensei." And I also wanted to take a second to explain that this is one of my favorite things about Deadpool in Marvel Comics. Deadpool absolutely loves Captain America. He's borderline obsessed with the guy. And so I really like him saluting Captain America here, and I'm hoping that Deadpool is trying to interact with Captain America at some point in this movie, which, strangely enough, could absolutely be a thing, because there are long-standing rumors from the Hollywood trades that Chris Evans is actually signed to show up as Steve Rogers again in the MCU. We cut to an establishing shot over a desert with a line of cars that look like something out of Mad Max. Now, due to the set leaks, which, by the way, I can't actually show you any of those images, like that's a whole thing, but it's copyright protected. But essentially, we've seen all of these vehicles in some of of the leaks from the set of Deadpool. And this is a caravan of some people that live on this world in what is either the Void or Battle World, or maybe those are both the same thing. And this caravan has some villains in it. So we know that this caravan has Pyro, as we see him later on in the trailer. We know that it has Sabretooth, and we've seen that in the leaked set photos. We know it has Toad, and we know that at one point this caravan has a captured TVA agent in one of those spiky ball prison things. This shot then fades into a shot of a bald character that we see from behind, and this character is Emma Corrin. She's playing Cassandra Nova, the twin sister of Charles Xavier. She's basically like a female evil version of Professor Xavier. Now, next up, we get a very brief shot that's actually really freaking important. So here's the shot here, and it has Wade Wilson in some kind of a bed that is built inside the jaw of some kind of crazy skeleton of a monster. But we've actually seen this before. This is literally the Hulk's bed on Sakaar from Thor Ragnarok. And something that's really interesting about that is Thor Ragnarok is one of the things that was shown on the monitors back in the TVA room. And as we will see later on in this trailer, both that moment in Age of Ultron and this moment from Thor Ragnarok are visited by Deadpool. So whatever the TVA is planning with Deadpool, it appears to have him going back into moments from old Marvel movies. And over top of these shots, Wade Wilson says, "Your little cinematic universe is about to change forever." And then we pull into shots within a casino as Deadpool is walking through different rooms. People are certainly noticing him, and he does appear to be out of place. And we see Deadpool approaching a room with what appears to be Wolverine wearing a white suit jacket. And this is very likely a variant of the Wolverine character known as Patch. Maybe you've seen that iconic comic book cover with Hulk and Wolverine both wearing white suit jackets, but essentially this is a version of Wolverine in the comics when he's kind of hiding and he ends up just working at a bar in Madripoor. But there's even more to this shot. As a lot of people noticed, the person sitting here as Wolverine is smaller and shorter than Hugh Jackman. And this ties into rumors and leaks about other people playing Wolverine in Deadpool 3. There are rumors of Daniel Radcliffe playing a variant of Wolverine, and there are even some other rumors of other actors that might show up as Wolverine in this film. And on top of that, we actually know that there's going to be some kind of a joke here where Deadpool is going to say no recasting and only want Hugh Jackman Wolverine. And we're not exactly sure how this fits together with things we've heard about the plot, but maybe this whole Marvel Jesus thing, the whole special thing about Wade Wilson is that he's actually going to be able to go out into the multiverse, gather up Prime variants, and bring them to the TVA. And so maybe that's what he's doing. Maybe he's going into all of these different movies, all of these different timelines, and grabbing up the sort of Prime version of a hero. And perhaps what we're seeing in this scene is him approaching this Wolverine. He notices it's Daniel Radcliffe, and he's like, no fam, no freaking way, Hugh Jackman Wolverine or bust. We then cut back to the TVA with Wade and Agent Paradox, and Deadpool is saying, I'm the Messiah. I'm Marvel's Jesus. To which Agent Paradox kind of frowns. Then get a bunch of cuts of different weapons and different parts of Deadpool's suit being assembled. And thanks to the 30-second TV spot, we actually have a shot of Deadpool going into that room. And it appears to be a place where they give costumes to different variants. And it's probably this guy that puts on the white gloves and gives him this crazy treatment. We then see a shot of Deadpool coming out of an elevator doing some kind of weird fancy dance move. And then we cut to shots in a forest with snow as Deadpool's throwing swords or daggers into TVA agents' faces. But you see this vehicle here in the background? Yeah, well, that is the vehicle from the beginning of Age of Ultron. And so we expect that this forest is that forest where all of the Avengers were fighting against Hydra. And then they get into Baron Strucker's castle, they find the rod, the Scarlet Witch does the vision to Tony. And another element that makes this even more interesting is that this is seen on one of those screens in the TVA. When Agent Paradox first starts showing Deadpool all the different screens, this moment is on one of those screens. So this seems to be a part of the TVA's plan. So why are the TVA agents fighting against Deadpool? We then cut to this crazy shot of Deadpool reloading his weapons in like this hyper stylized way. And this appears to be in front of the 20th Century Fox logo that's fallen into the void. And this is another thing we've seen from the leaked set photos. This is all from this sequence on the void with all those villains and the Mad Max caravan. Deadpool and Logan are going to end up having a big fight here. We then cut to a section with all of the villains that were in this caravan and the one TVA agent that was handcuffed. And it's a chaotic scene, and we see Goliath swoop in and take that TVA agent. And that absolutely shocks Deadpool, by the way. We then see Deadpool being thrown out of the back of a car. He breaks his arm, but then snaps it back into place. We see a quick shot of one of these masked villains who the internet for some reason decided is Dr. Doom, even though it is absolutely not Dr. Doom. And there's some kind of crazy technology that's being used on this weird device, on this truck. I think this technology has to do with repelling Goliath, and maybe it gets broken, and that's when Goliath then attacks all of them. And then we cut to a sequence of Deadpool slicing down TVA agents in that same snowy forest, and oh my God, does it look like he is killing a lot of TVA agents. And then we cut to sequences with all of those Mad Max villains being cut down by Deadpool. But I want to stop on this shot of these machine guns because the gloves on those machine guns are not Deadpool's. They are at least not our Deadpool. So this is a Deadpool variant. More shots of Deadpool fighting all the Mad Max baddies at their base. We then see a shot of Deadpool taunting someone in this car. This appears to be the same car he was thrown out of. And if you notice, there's a couple of 3-clawed slices on the seats and a lot of blood. So some kind of crazy fight happened in this car. More shots of Deadpool slicing up the baddies at this Mad Max base. Then we get a shot of Pyro. This is literally the dude from X-Men 2 and X3, and he's back as a villain on Battleworld or The Void. We then see Deadpool pop up, and again, this is the location from Age of Ultron. We get a shot of a ton of TVA agents coming to confront Deadpool. And obviously, they don't do a good job because we see them all dead earlier in the trailer. And then we get a shot of Deadpool being thrown through a concrete wall. And again, this appears to be in the void. And we cut to a shot of Deadpool laying on the ground, and next to him in the left side of the frame, there is a comic book. And this has been identified by the internet detectives as Secret Wars number 5. And this is from Jonathan Hickman's Secret Wars. And this is an issue that explains how Battleworld was actually created. And it has to do with Dr. Doom and the Molecule Man and the Beyonders. It's pretty crazy and is absolutely a tease of where this is all heading. Oh, and also this is the soda from the Incredible Hulk that Stan Lee accidentally drinks and dies. We see the shadow of Wolverine come into frame and cover up Deadpool. Deadpool says, "Don't just stand there, you ape. Give me a hand up." We then see in the shadows as Wolverine pulls both arms up and snicks, and the claws come out. Deadpool then snarkily replies, "Nope, I'm actually okay. Thank you very much." And then Wolverine comes into frame. We only see him in the yellow costume for just a bit, and the trailer ends. And then we get the title for the film, Deadpool and Wolverine. Let me know if you have any questions in the comment section below. And as I always say, I hope you're having an awesome and a nerdy day, and I'll see you in the next video.